All right, I wanted to put together kind of a quick overview video just about Proffieboard, just for kind of for a few different audiences. So if you're new to custom lightsabers and you've heard Proffieboard or you're looking at what your options are, I just wanted to run through a few things and give you a few resources to learn. If you have other boards, but you've seen some of what my videos or other people's videos and what Proffieboard can do, and you're just curious about it, or if you're hearing kind of mixed information and you're not sure what to believe, and you're looking at either upgrading or choosing a Profi board or seeing if it's something you want to actually get into. I wanted to put this video together. So this is going to be super high level, kind of a quick run through of a lot of stuff, just to give you some tools, some resources, and some information so you can make an educated decision. Because obviously, if you're going to go into picking up a custom lightsaber or installing it yourself or finding an installer, you want to be happy with that end result. Not to say that whatever choice you make wouldn't make you happy, but I've encountered people who've have a saber or had a saber for a little while or ordered a saber, then they come across one of my videos or some other people's videos, and they're curious about it, and they say, "Hey, how do I do this on such and such board?" And I ultimately, if it's not a Profi board, I have to say you can't. Because the styles in my library are only for Proffieboard. So, and if you're not familiar at all with Proffieboard, you can watch this too. So, Proffieboard is an open source lightsaber control board. Um, Basically, it's what that means being open source is that anybody can go in and add features, play around with stuff. And then just in general, it's extremely customizable. Now, because of that, there's virtually unlimited capabilities in the effects, which are what my videos mostly show. The other part of it is the features and new innovations are just being added so quickly, just because it's not one person or one group of people sitting and coming up with stuff, and because it's open source, it can actually adapt much faster. So that's one of the reasons that you see so many videos from people about Proffieboard is just because there's so much potential that's untapped even yet, and so much being added, that I think that to me it's one of the options you really should consider. But there's a lot with it, and there's no perfect solution for everybody, and it's not an apples to apples comparison with other boards because it is open source. So I wanted to give everybody who's just curious, interested in learning, doing some research, some tools. So first and foremost, obviously, people who are watching this video hopefully have seen other videos. My YouTube channel does have a ton of effects that I've designed for Proffieboard, but I wanted to show you some other stuff. So I'm going to close this up. So first and foremost, if you're not already a member of the open source group on Facebook, I highly recommend joining. First of all, because it's a great community of people who use Proffieboard who can help answer questions. If you have a Proffieboard and you're trying to do something and you can't figure it out, you can ask in this group. Lots of people who have a lot of knowledge and can help out. The other thing is the manual itself. So once you join the open source group, definitely answer the questions. We do get people who want to join the group and don't answer the questions. The moderators won't add you if you don't. So answer the questions. But once you're in the group, if you go to the file section, this is where I would say first and foremost to start is the user manual. Now this list keeps growing, but you're just looking for the user manual. And read through the user manual. Even if you're not going to build your own saber, I would still say read through the manual. There's so much information in here, and a lot of basic questions are covered. If you're not worried about the actually wiring it, you can skip over the front section. But one of the things that I think that it's a kind of a mix of misunderstanding and some misinformation about Proffieboard is related to how you update it. Oops, why does that keep letting go? So if you get in the manual, a lot of this stuff might not make a ton of sense to you at first. But the biggest thing, the biggest maybe misconception, misunderstanding is updating Proffieboard. So when you're, and I don't use other boards, so if I misspeak, then forgive me. I'm going more off of third-party information. But with other boards, usually you would have like a file on your SD card that you would update, and that's how you update your colors, your fonts, your effects. And then there's obviously like a laundry list of settings. They're usually like just some numbers that you can put in for different values. So for those boards, that's a little different. With Proffieboard, you're actually uploading the entire operating system, the OS that we call it, every time you want to do an update. And that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to show you shortly. It's not. The very first time you're hooking up your board to the computer, there are steps you have to follow. And there's probably more steps here than some of the other boards. But it's really the initial setup that is that difficult part. And the manual walks you through it step by step with all the information. And you have the open source group on Facebook that can also help. There's also a lot of videos on YouTube for those who don't want to necessarily read, but the manual is a great starting point. So I wanted to show this. I'm not going to walk through all of this because it's already there, but this is a good starting point for you to understand. So when you want to set up a new style or add a new font or change something, you're dealing with what's called a config file, which is really just a text file, and you have to upload that file using Arduino to the board. So, and I'm going to walk through that again, but these are the steps, and it's step by step. 1, do this. Here's what it should look like. 2, do this. Here's what it should look like. 3, do this. Here's the settings that you need to put in. And then actually uploading the software. And again, now that we're on 4.7 now, so, but same difference. You're going to get the software, you're going to unzip it. I'm going to show you how to update your config real quick, and then you go through each step here, and you press this upload button, and then the software does everything else. Now, so you are programming your board with the software, but really you're just following some steps and pushing an upload button, and then the Arduino and the operating system do the rest itself. So that might be where maybe the misunderstanding comes in, is that you and updating your board, and so initially doing it and then every future update are the exact same steps. But it's actually easier after you've done it the first time because all the other stuff is set up and you're literally just making a few changes. All right, so the manual, the open source group is a great starting point. Now, if you want to see what's possible with Proffieboard, I have my style library, which is where most of the videos that I post on Facebook, that's their home. So the reason I shoot the videos is to have them here. So you don't need a Proffieboard to actually see what these styles do. If you wanted to just see what they can do, mess around with them or whatever, you can still come to my library. So you come into the library, you're going to scroll. I have a lot of different effects. I have descriptions of everything, but I'm going to go down for one of the newer ones just because that's one that's been more popular lately. So this smoke blade was actually popular. So you can watch the videos from YouTube. You can read a little bit about it. And then here, if you click Get Style Code, for most styles, I have what I call the 8 default starting colors. But all these options where it's Customize Enhance, it's going to let you tweak that blade style and then also preview it. So let's go in. We'll grab a blue one. So I'm going to click here. Now, in this Customize Enhance screen, you can choose all of these different options. And if you want to learn about any options, again, for those of you who haven't seen the library before, if you click this question mark, I give explanations of everything. And then you can close them up. But there's a lot of options, and this list is going to continue to grow. So a lot of the videos that I've been posting lately are because I'm doing updates to the enhancements, which just are ways that you can take a basic style and just do a ton more with it. So let's do one of these for a pre-on effect. We'll set these up here, and that's pretty good. Let's do a mid-blade here. And again, you can read through what all of these options actually mean just by clicking the question marks. But then when you get towards the bottom, if you click this, so if you actually have Proffieboard, all you're going to do is click this and it gets you the code, which I'll show that in a minute. But if you want to see it, so you don't have a Proffieboard, you don't have a Lightsaber yet, you want to just see what this is going to look like beyond my videos because you've done your customizations, this check-in editor, right now it says beta. The editor is still in beta, but it's pretty stable, so you can play with it. But check-in editor, you just click it. So you've made all your choices. You can go through everything, fine-tune what you want. You click check-in editor. And this is the style editor. So there's a lot over here, and there's a lot of videos out there on how to use it. For people who are new, you're not going to worry about all this right now. When you're ready to start building styles or editing styles, you'll mess with that. All we're going to focus on is the previewer and the controls. So this is what the Lightsaber is. So right now it's off. So first thing I want to do is ignite the Lightsaber. So, and actually, this is still because of the beta. There's a pre-on effect I added, if you remember. If you want to see the pre-on before you ignite, just click this pre-on button, And that's what the preon looks like. Now, it's the preon itself on Profi is going to be timed by how long that wave file is, and you can also tweak the timings. But if you just want to preview what that preon I chose is, that's there. But now let's see what the saber looks like when I ignite it. So you're going to hit power. So there was a power up effect that ran, and then this is what the base style of the blade looks like. Now, in person and on camera, the styles always look slightly different than even this emulator, but this gives you kind of an idea of what that style is going to look like, and it's a pretty close one. Some styles they look a little different in person. Some of them look dead on. Each style is a little different, and part of it has to do with what's capable with NeoPixels now, et cetera, and part of it's what's capable just in this preview screen. But at any rate, you get a quick preview of what the blade looks like. And then if you want to see what the effects are, that's what the clash is going to look like. And that's because that's what I chose. That's what stab is going to look like. That's what the blast will look like. We didn't choose a force effect. There are force boosts, but this one doesn't have it. We didn't choose that. And then the lockups. So there's a bunch of different lockup capabilities built in. So the first one, this is the localized lockup. Now this is the fully responsive version. So what you're seeing on screen is it's going to move, but that's because it's just for preview. On your actual saber, any of the responsive effects actually respond in real time to the angle of your blade and the turning of your hilt, as well as some of them are based on how quickly you move the saber. Because we can't move this previewer, the program actually just loops through to show you what it looks like. So this movement is actually in Profi is going to actually be real time based on the angle of your blade. Then we also have the drag effect. So you can see what that drag effect was. So that's just a tip effect. You can see what melt is. And again, melt in the responsive, actually the heating and cooling of the metal is based on turning your hilt, but in this it's going to just cycle through. And then lightning block, which is obviously that, and then we can turn that off. So you can go through and you can take a look at what the style is, and you can do that for most of the styles. So let's go back and let's take a look at a different style. Another one that's popular now is skipped it. There's a lot here, so take your time and play around with stuff. There it is, Death Star Blast, and I'm going to grab a silver version. So these are the default colors, which is the starting color. There is color change in all of these, so you can always adjust the colors. But we'll grab this. I'm going to change my preon to the Infinity Stone because that one's popular. I'll leave these settings. And you can change all of this stuff. So everything, there's a ton of options for retractions, etc. Let's try glitch off. And then again, you can add, let's add a, I don't know, force boost on this effect, won't look great. And then again, we'll check it in editor. So now we added a different preon, so let's preview that preon. So this is the Infinity Stone preon, and it's meant to have the 6 Infinity Stones get collected. And then normally on your actual saber, this will ignite as soon as the preon ends. For the editor, right now it just is a previewer, so then we'll hit power. And then that's that power up effect. And then we've got all of the power going. And actually, I forgot to add one thing. Let me add this emitter effect here. And I want the Infinity Stone emitter with blast. So I missed that. So I can add that and go back. Let's do it again. So now you'll see that it has the Infinity Stones laid over it. So that's an option you add. So you can tweak and fine tune. And you can add these enhancements to any of the blades. So you can kind of combine your own unique styles too and play around with them. And then from in here, again, you're getting a preview of what's possible with that blade. And this one, again, the description will say so, but on the Infinity Stone emitter effect with blast, if you turn your hilt, it's actually going to cycle through all the different colors. For this previewer, it's going to keep running through. But everything in the library, you can check out. So anything in this library that'll have the customize enhance has a preview capability. The ones that say copy, they're a little bit older or simplified styles, so those right now don't have that. But you can go into this library, the link's going to be in the description, and just play around and preview and see what's possible. And ask yourself, hey, is this something you want to do? So now let's talk about how this actually translates to you getting this if you have a Proffieboard. And again, this is going to be a high-level, quick run-through. The manual has step-by-step details. There's a lot of videos that go into this much more in depth. So this is purposefully high level. So I wouldn't use this especially if it's your first time, but this is really what's involved, just so you get a quick, fair look at how this all works. So with Proffieboard, if you're building your own, or if somebody built it for you, the most important thing is this config file, and it's a text file. And there's a lot in here, and the manual covers all this, and you can ask questions about it. I'm not worried about all that right now. All you need to be able to update, add styles, or change your fonts is this text file. Everything else gets handled for you by the operating system and Arduino. So I have my config file. A lot of times if you have a Saber that somebody built for you, they really should be putting this file on the SD card so you have access to it, or you request it. But say so let's go back to the library, and this was the one I was messing with. This is the style. I have all my settings I want. How do I actually get this onto my Saber? So you're going to have your config file open. Now, again, this is all going to be, I'm going to breeze through this, but it's all described. With Proffieboard, if you look here, this preset value, all these presets, these are the presets that run. And there's a certain syntax that you have to follow, but it's not that complicated. So if you want to, so there's two ways to do this. If I have a font, so this first value here, that's the font name. That's the exact name of the folder on your SD card that has all the sound files that are going to play with this style. The sounds and the styles on Proffieboard are separate, but they get assigned to each other in this config file. So say I want to take that style I just designed and I want to replace the one that's here. Now this is a lot of code, but you don't have to worry about this right now. The library is doing this part for you. So I'm going to go and I'm going to highlight all this stuff in the middle. And you're looking for these curved brackets. The curved brackets are the important pieces. Everything in between that I've just highlighted, that's the actual style that runs the effects. I'm going to delete it. I like to put a break in there. So this is basically the receptacle for the style. The first value is the font folder on your SD card. This is your track, which is a sound file that plays when you hit the tracks button, which is either music or spoken for most of the time. But that's defined here. So these two things you define. That tells it what sounds to play. So these are all the font sounds. So your swings, your hums, your clashes, ignite, retract, all that stuff is in here. And then if you want a music file or a spoken file for one of your tracks, that's defined there. And then this is the effects part. So in the library, there's this get style button. So I designed this, and this is, again, if you have Proffieboard, click get style. It puts it on your clipboard. And you're going to go in here, and we're just going to paste it. And again, it's a lot of code, but you don't have to do it. The library did all this for you. And that's all you need. So that's if you have a font and you want to change the style on it. Now, say you just want to add a new preset. It's the exact same thing. You just got to put in some more information. So now I want to add a brand new starting preset. These, and again, the manual and all the videos and everything cover this. It's a curved bracket. And then within the first quotations is going to be the name of the font folder that you want to be associated with this preset. The track. And I'm just grabbing some kind of generic names that you want to play with this preset. And commas and brackets are very important because it is actually a program. But all you got to do is remember to include them and you're good. Then I do two breaks and I close my bracket and you put a comma because there's something after it. And again, this is described, but I just want to give a brief explanation of what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go into the library again. Let's grab something different. Grab a dark saber style. I'm going to change a couple of things. I don't want a pre-on for this one. I'm going to do just a regular retraction. And you can change whatever you want. You come down to the bottom. You can, oops, let's get rid of that base effect. You can check it in the editor. So that's my dark saber version. Go back here, click my get style. Got it. Paste it. Styles added to my config. So now you would save this file, and then this is the last step. And again, this is, again, high level. So there's steps involved, but this is high level. I'm going to go into my Arduino, which again is described in the manual. And all you do is once this is set up correctly, following the steps in the manual, you're just going to hit this upload button. So you have to have your Saber hooked up to the USB, obviously. So mine isn't right now. But that's all you're doing is you're taking style code out of the library. You're putting it in a text file. Just make sure you follow syntax. You're going to go into Arduino, and you're going to hit this upload button, and then that's it. And now that new style that you pulled from the library is on your saber. So, and again, generalized. If you and occasionally you may have, you may have missed a step. You might have a typo. Those brackets and the commas in this file, for most of the time when people are getting started, they're missing one of these guys or they're missing a comma someplace. They get an error message. You post that on the open source group. There's like 10 guys who reply to you saying, hey, you're missing this, you're missing that, and then you fix it and you're good. So I'm not going to make it seem like it's all perfect every single time. You may have a mistake, you may have a typo, but it's all fixable, and there's a lot of people who can help. But that's really it. You update this text file, get in the Arduino, hook your Saber up to USB, click this upload button, and then Arduino does the rest. And like I said, if you have an error message or something, that's a totally separate thing, but that can be helped. But that's the programming part that's involved. Is really you're just updating a text file with some information, you're hooking your board up, and then you're actually pushing the entire operating system. So all the styles, all the configurations, and all of the operating system itself that makes this happen all gets put on your board, and that's every time you update. So you're not saving that text file, which is one of the ones that I see. So this file isn't getting saved. You save it to your SD card as backup, but this doesn't go on your SD card and magically the Saber does the stuff. That's probably the biggest difference. You're saving the changes to your config file, and then Arduino is actually writing them to your board to perform. So that's basically what's involved. Now, again, the steps are all covered in the manual. It's you have to set a bunch of settings. So you have to set all of these settings again described, and you have to do a few. You have to hook up the plugin, but again, it's covered step by step in this manual. Very much. I closed that tab, didn't I? So again, it's all covered in here. So that's what's involved. So if you're thinking about Proffieboard and you want to mess around, you can go and play with the library. You can join the open source group and learn more. And then if you're seriously considering and you're trying to weigh the benefits, and any difficulties with having a Proffieboard, what you're comfortable with, read the manual, see the steps involved, and say to yourself, hey, is this over my head? Is this something I'm willing to learn? Because even if you don't understand it at first, once you've done it once or twice, even if you have to have somebody explain it to you on the open source group, or there's also the TRA forum, once you've done it once or twice, even people who are completely new to this stuff, after that first or second upload, it's really easy. So that first time it's something new. It might be something you have to learn. It might have a few challenges to it. But one of the things that I kind of see and that people ask about is, do I have to be a programmer? My quick and easy answer is no. Do you have to be able to read the manual and follow a few steps? Absolutely. But I think that's kind of anything software-based. But hopefully this gives you kind of some avenues to learn, some opportunities to, just see what it can be done. And again, even my library is like a tiny fraction of what's possible because it's kind of a start point. You can customize every little detail in these styles and add things, take things away. So there's a lot of opportunity and potential. But if you're seriously considering, if you're unsure, if you're thinking about a Saber and you want to just weigh your options, I would recommend learning a little bit about Proffieboard and make your decision there. And if this doesn't look like it's for you, if it seems like it's something you just don't want to do because you're used to such and such board or being able to do it this way, then that's fine too. My big thing is as I alluded to in the opening, I get a lot of questions because I post a lot of stuff about Proffieboard. Can I do this on my board? And if it's not a Proffieboard, I have to say no. And for some people, they're like, oh, well, so-and-so told me I could, or I read that you can do this, or I read you can do that, or I saw this that you can do this on such and such board. And I have to tell them, well, to my knowledge, I don't believe that's possible. And then I have to send them away. And most of the time if they do come back, they say, yeah, you can't do this on that board. And I have to explain to them, well, the Proffieboard being open source, the innovation and the features are just much, much faster than what's possible on the other ones. If that's what you really wanted, you needed a Proffieboard. So now I'm hoping some people just see this, they learn about Proffieboard, they understand, and then if they really want what Proffieboard can do, they make that decision. But if they choose a different board, this is not a knock against other boards. This is more just It's not an apples and apples comparison from my point of view between all the other boards, just because Proffieboard being open source is so much more unlimited and moving with innovation and features so much faster. So if that's what you're looking for, and if you like what you're seeing either in the library or on YouTube or on Facebook, learn about Proffieboard and then make your decision from there. But if you choose Proffieboard, great. If you choose a different board and you enjoy it and you have fun with it, great. But if you're trying to do what Proffieboard can do on other boards, that's not going to be possible in a lot of instances. Some boards are going to have similar features, and they're probably with the popularity of Proffieboard going up. Some of them are probably going to start trying to do what Proffieboard can do, but what Proffieboard can do today is going to be completely different from what it can do tomorrow. So just keep that in mind, and I'm hoping this gives some tools to you who, those of you who want to learn or who have questions. But again, open source group, Proffieboard manual, play around with the library, learn for yourself, and then make an educated decision. And if you're making a decision based on what you know and what you're looking for, then I think you'll be a lot happier with that end result. And whatever you choose, just enjoy it. That's the best part of this hobby. So thanks for taking some time out of your day. Hopefully this helps a couple people.